at least it was better than WandaVision. Just now that I think about it, it's not saying much. So... again, unfortunately, let's get into it. Okay, so yeah. First things first, let's get this out of the way. This was so much better than WandaVision. I cannot stress that. WandaVision was the bottom of the barrel, putrid sewage dip that Marvel put out. I mean, if you ever seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit and you see that chemical waste that kills cartoons called dip, I know that's a really old reference. That's what WandaVision was. It was just the... And so, yeah, this was leaps and bounds superior to WandaVision in like almost every way. Now, that being said, the bar was not that high. So, even some of the crappiest movies in history were better than WandaVision. And so, yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This show started off fantastic. Okay, just insane. Like when I hit play after that first entire like set piece sequence, I was just like, I hit pause and it's like, that's how you fucking do Marvel. I don't know what that crap was in January and February, but this is how you do it. Then the rest of the show happened. Yeah. Yeah, this was not a perfect show. This had so many problems. But it was at least watchable. It was at least, yeah, I might be able to watch this again someday without having to skip episodes. So, it has that going for it. But, first off, let me talk about some of the pros with the show. I already told you that the opening, like, set-piece sequence was outstanding. I mean, it was just, like, top level, best writers at Marvel. This is quintessential Marvel, right here. That opening sequence. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat with it. It's like, they just did such a great job with it. And another thing that I really liked about this show over WandaVision is the 6-episode format. WandaVision had 9 episodes, this had 6 episodes. The pacing is so much better in this show. I mean, only 6 episodes, the story comes at you quick, and that is a good thing. I've been appreciating 6-episode series more and more lately. Whenever I see that show has like 24 episodes, I kind of just avoid them altogether, because trying to find enough content for 24 hours is not easy. And unless you're like a superhero show, I don't see it realistically happening anymore. It's kind of getting harder to appreciate 13 episode shows anymore, because even shows with that many episodes, it takes too long to get to the point. And so I really have been loving 6-episode series lately, and this is another 6-episode series. Unfortunately, it only needed to be like 4 episodes, because there was a lot of useless junk in this show like there was in WandaVision. Now, I don't want to say it's at the same level, because like a lot of this useless junk in this show, it's like watchable, but at the same time it's just like, this has absolutely nothing to do with the overall premise. Why are we watching this? Okay, it wasn't as bad as WandaVision, where we were just like, they really thought that was funny? Why am I being forced to watch this? Thankfully that didn't happen here for the most part. We'll get to that point in a little bit. But, like, for example, there was the most useless subplot I've ever seen in a show about a boat. Yeah, basically in the show, there's this whole subplot about a family boat and they're trying to sell it, where half the family wants to sell it, half the family doesn't want to sell it, half family wants to fix it up, but they can't afford it because they have no money, and like this subplot goes on for way too long. And to try kind of just give you an example of what I mean by way too long, pretty much with a couple of scenes, the entire 5th episode is about this damn boat. Let me repeat myself. The entire 5th episode, for the most part, is solely about this boat. I mean, yeah, there's a really good fight scene in episode 5, and they actually do some, you know, Captain America stuff in episode 5, but for the most part, it's just all about building up, fixing this boat. I heard some people online go, oh yeah, that was the best episode of the series. It's like, really? The best episode of the series was the episode where they just were entirely fixating on a boat. And, like, the boat doesn't even come into play later. Spoiler warning, the boat does not come into play at all with the overall, you know, world issue plot. It's just a useless subplot that doesn't really go anywhere. And it's like, why they spend so much time on this boat subplot? And, like, some people might say, oh, it's to show that there's money problems in the family. Well, first off, Falcon's an Avenger, okay? He knows rich people. He could have gotten, hell, just some loose money from some of the people he knows and not even have to pay it back and not have to worry about money problems, okay? I mean, crying out loud. He knows Pepper Potts. He knows Bruce Banner. He knows people, okay, who would literally just throw money at him and it's like, oh yeah, you don't have to pay me back. That's like nothing. So, like, the whole money problem thing with the boat subplot just does not work, period. At all. I'm sorry I spent so much time on the boat, but the show spent way too much time on the boat. So I had to sufficiently cover that. Sorry about that glitch. Now, like, the overall story does work. I mean, you know, there's this group called the Flag Smashers. That was the best name they could come up with. But essentially, they are kind of the outcome of the decimation. I refuse to call it the blip because they came up with that term in the crappy first half of Spider-Man Far From Home, and it sounds exactly like it sounds. Sounds like a little kid came up with that term, and why everyone in the MCU is using that term is just laughably ridiculous. Like, we're really calling it the blip? No, it's the decimation, okay? That was the name before the blip, the decimation, okay? That's what happened. And so, this show actually goes into the ramifications of actually bringing people back, which I thought was an interesting direction. It's like, yeah, people have actually said online that if there was to, like, lose half of the world's population, be like that for 5 years, and then just bring them all back, you would see massive economic crashes, which would happen, but it would be worth it because you'd be getting your loved one back. I can't stand these idiots on Facebook and online social media is like, oh yeah, Thanos was completely right. No, if I was Thanos, I would completely do the snap because there's just too many people in the world. And it's like, yeah, so clearly you did not understand what Captain America was saying when he said we do not trade lives. More on understanding Captain America in a little bit. I haven't gotten to the best part. Yeah, so like the overall story works, and they talk about this group that is kind of like the ramifications of everyone coming back, but the problem is they try way too hard to humanize basically a group of terrorists, alright? they are terrorists. Period. You can't say that they are terrorists. And even at the like last episode, they go, "Well, the terrorists are like they aren't terrorists; they're activists." It's like, no. I think when you blow people up and kill innocent people, you're officially a terrorist. I am not going to change my mind on that. By the way, but yeah, no, the show tries way too hard to humanize them, and like, yeah, they could have done an effective job on like humanizing them before they switched, and like they do almost kind of make that message. They almost do a good job on showing that before they actually were decent people, and Simo kind of helped with this a little bit, but they don't do that, especially with the last episode. It's like, oh yeah, no, it wasn't them who were wrong, it was us who were wrong. And it's like, yeah, you're forgetting about all the innocent people they killed. Okay. Kind of interesting where your morals lie, people. I'm talking about the writers now. But, yeah, but like, it just did not work, them trying to humanize the bad guys, okay? I mean, there was even this scene in like the last episode, it was like, yeah, well, if this doesn't happen, we're just going to have to kill innocent people. And like all the people like just shocked, like, it's like, do you not remember a couple episodes back when you all killed a whole bunch of people? Apparently not, because they were acting like they'd never done it before. Yeah. And like, you know, there were other things that just didn't work with the show. Like, they had this huge surprise that, quite frankly, you see coming miles away. I mean, it's just like, it was this all along. It's like, yeah, we know that. I didn't even think it was a surprise. I mean, you know, so that too is kind of a hit against it. But going back, the thing that was great about the show was Zemo, or Baron Zemo, or, you know, the main bad guy from Captain America Civil War. He's back. You've seen that in the trailers. You probably know by now that he's back. I don't think that's a huge spoiler. And he is great because what the show was trying to do with the Flag Smashers, it actually successfully kind of did with Baron Zemo. It took 2 movies to do it, Captain America Civil War and this. I know it's a show, but I kind of consider it a movie. But like, they did a better job at unintentionally humanizing Zemo when they were trying to intentionally humanize the Flag Smashers. And so like, in the 3rd Captain America film, it was like, okay, Zemo, he was trying to, you know, destroy the Avengers because, you know, he lost his family. But in this, you kind of get a more in-depth look into his psyche, and it's just like, I don't want to agree with him, but it's kind of hard to disagree with the guy. He's making some really good points. He's kind of doing the, what was it? He's kind of doing the Vision speech from Captain America Civil War, where Vision was talking about our very strength invites challenge invites conflict, and conflict leads to catastrophe. It was the same message, just retold through Zemo. It's like, if you have Supermen, you will have problems that you never would have had if you just have men. And it was like, well, he's kind of right. I mean, you know, once you take that cat out of the bag, it stays out of the bag. So no, I really enjoyed Zemo in this show, and I actually would like to see more with his character. So, good job on how you handled Zemo. But like, another problem was, and hey, this is a spoiler, fair warning, it's not a huge I am your father spoiler, but it's still like something worth noting. They never pointed it out in the trailers, and so it's worth noting that they do have super soldiers, new super soldiers in this show. It's not just Bucky who's a super soldier. And while that works, I had no problem with them having like new super soldiers. Actually, one they introduced like, oh yeah, there's this guy no one knew about, and it's just like, can we see that movie? Because that would actually be really interesting. Set in like 1950s Korea, that'd be really cool to see. But yeah, they're probably not going to do anything like that. But no, like one of the biggest inconsistencies that like I didn't even notice until someone pointed out to me is you have all of these people who are super soldiers, and like the leader, this little 16-year-old girl, she is still like has the body shape of like a little 16-year-old girl, and she's not like jack ripped, and like you think what's wrong with that until like you think about Captain America: The First Avenger. I mean, Steve Rogers was like this tall, and he like was skin and bones. And then when he got the serum and the fighter race or whatever you call it, he just like popped up like this, and he was just like completely ripped. And like, I guess he was the only one to have that happen, because like everyone else in this show they introduced as super soldier was just like, yeah, no, I literally have no muscle mass, but you know I'm really strong, and like, okay, but which is it? Is it you get really jacked ripped, or is it just you stay your normal size, but you're just really strong? And so just inconsistencies like that just pick away at the show. It doesn't ruin the show, but it just kind of like picks away. It's like once you notice it, you can't not notice it. I didn't notice it until someone pointed it out to me. And now like, a lot of people didn't like John Walker's character. I actually really liked his character, especially since I knew he was not going to be, you know, the new whatnot. Trying not to spoil anything. I always knew that he was going to become the U.S. agent. And so I was perfectly fine with everything they did with him. I always knew that he was more of an anti-hero than the goody two-shoes, clean-cut Captain America. So, like, I was not surprised at all when they had him do a couple of things that Captain America would have never have done, because it's like, no, he's more of an anti-hero, and so I'd like to see more with him. I do like the actor Wyatt Russell, and so yeah, no, I don't have much to say about him. I thought he did an okay job, and like another minor spoiler, Falcon does get a new suit, and for the most part, it's really cool. I like it. I like the look of it. Just the one problem is that the new suit, the entire top of his head is just completely exposed. Now, any of you who are watching this now who have been in the military, you probably know exactly the problem right there. That is a tactical weakness right there. Having your entire top of your head just completely exposed. Like, basically, all you need is just one sniper like a half a mile away, just like see, you know, Falcon just like, oh, is he not wearing a helmet? Huh. Guess I'm taking lunch early today. I mean, just like, why would the entire top of your head be exposed? Makes no sense. I hope they fix it, because that's really like my only criticism. And this is when we get into the big issue and the really big issue. The two things that really kind of ruin the show to an extent. And that is that the show fought tooth and nail to prevent the audience from having any kind of escapism from real world politics. And while some of the issues the show does talk about are important issues, don't get me wrong, I had it explained to me like this. Imagine you and a group of friends are talking about a movie. Alright? You're talking about a lot. And then the conversation turns to a rock show that you guys went to. But one of the friends will not stop talking about the movie. And you've kind of exhausted the talk about that said movie. And you just want to talk about the rock show just for a little bit. You can go back to the movie later, but that one friend will not stop talking about the movie, and he ruins the entire conversation about the rock show. Okay? In a more broader term, this is known as escapism. Okay? That's kind of the point of movies, books, music, television shows, is escapism. Okay? Escapism is a really important thing, alright? Marvel, for the longest point in time, was all about escapism. Look, you don't want to deal with the freeway construction crews constantly working for years on the same stretch of road. You can't drive by. You don't want to deal with global politics. You want to deal with, the threat of terrorism. You don't want to deal with some mass shooting that happened. Just for a little bit, you escape to a movie, a book, music, a television show. And unfortunately, Marvel felt it was a good idea to just cram all of that geopolitical stuff into this show. And it's like, oh, you thought you were going to get away from this? No, you're going to listen to it on our show too. That way you're constantly hearing about it in the show you're trying to use as escapism, and in the real world you have to confront it right then and there. Okay? Escapism is truly important. We need to be able to take a break from our lives, even if it's for a moment, just to decompress, to get your mind off it. And then a lot of times, if you're dealing with a problem close to you, you get some time to decompress, you can go at it a little bit fresh, and typically you can solve said problem. Alright, that's why escapism is so important. A lot of people might say, well, you're just trying to bury your head in the sand. And it's like, no, escapism can actually be quite constructive. It doesn't help when shows like this constantly shove current and very hostile world politics in your face. Alright? And that never really was what Marvel was about, at least in my opinion. But this leads to probably one of the worst moments of the show, that speech in the last episode. When it just started playing, I'm just like... It was laughably bad. It really was. It was so cringy bad. Because the reason why it was so bad was the writer of that scene has apparently never watched a day of politicians in the United States. Like, okay, this character is just preaching to these politicians, like saying, shame on you, you can do better. And they're just all like, you're right, we can do better. And then later on, a character walks up and is like, yeah, so it looks like those U.S. politicians aren't going to go ahead and, do that thing you didn't want them to do because you guilted them. That's not how our politicians work at all. Just FYI. Our politicians are quite two-faced. And so, yeah, while they don't wear it on their sleeve, they will, if they're being humiliated at all, they'll just nod their head and go, oh no, you're absolutely right, we won't do that. And then just go ahead and move that next week. We'll do it next week when people kind of forget about this. Oh yeah, no, we're not going to do that. That's how our politicians are, okay? Our politicians are quite two-faced. They may not wear it on their sleeve quite openly, but they are two-faced. And so the fact that this show acts like these U.S. politicians were guilted into not doing something, like, that is so adorable that a person in the film industry can be that naive. And because of their naivete, if that's the right way to say it, because of their innocence, I guess, that's the only way to call it, is innocence. Because of their innocence, they wrote a cringy, laughably bad soliloquy from this character. It's just like, you really don't have a clue, do you? I mean, it is just so bad. I can't stress it enough. I mean, while some of the points the character was making in the speech are valid and sound, it's just like, you're wrong on so many other levels. You realize that, don't you? So, and this gets me into my last, but most serious problem with this show. The writer or writers had absolutely no idea what the point was with Captain America. They didn't get it. Because throughout this entire show, they really made it a point to point out that Captain America was never good. Alright? He was never a symbol for good. Captain America, the suit, the shield, it was always evil. It was always representing evil. It was always hiding evil. The only good thing about Captain America was Steve Rogers. Because of him, it was a good symbol. It was a respected shield. Only because of Steve Rogers, not because of Captain America. Captain America is always evil. That's how the writers depicted it in this show. And, like, quite frankly, they did not get the point of Captain America at all. They do not get it. Alright? Captain America is not, if you're a white guy, you're the best. It was never that. Captain America was, this is what you can try and be like. Someone who fights for truth, freedom, fighting for the little guy, standing up to bullies, justice, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, doing good to others. That was the point of Captain America. That is the point of Captain America. It is a symbol of bettering yourself, a symbol of doing the best that you can do, of being better than who you were. Okay? It was never about race. The character was never about race. It was never about hiding the sins of the past. It was only ever about, look at yourself in the mirror and just say to yourself, you can do better. You can run a little bit further. You can jump a little higher. You can fight a little bit longer. Fight for the things you believe in. Fight for truth and freedom and justice. That is the point of Captain America. Alright? And there was a line used in the show, like, the fact that you even wanted to try and become Captain America, this is a line delivered to Sam Wilson. Someone said to him, the fact that you even wanted to try and become Captain America, you're disrespecting yourself and your past. And, like, to that, I'm saying, if people thought like that, we would have never had Jesse Owens defeat Hitler's Supermen at the Olympics. Alright? In that moment when Jesse Owens defeated Hitler, Superman, supreme race of men, he was Captain America. When Jackie Robinson broke the record, he was Captain America. Hell, when Barack Obama became president, he was Captain America in that moment. Because the symbol of Captain America is being the best that you can be. And the writers horrifically lost the point on that. And because of this, as entertaining as this show was, it craps in the face of any diehard Captain America fan. It just spits on the spirit of Captain America. It's a joke. I mean, this show is basically a joke simply because of that. Because they completely missed the point of Captain America. Alright? There's a reason why Captain America is not just Steve Rogers. There's a reason why Captain America was Sam Wilson in the comic books. There's a reason why it became Bucky down the line. There's a reason why Steve Rogers wasn't the only Captain America. It was because of this very reason. Because anyone can be Captain America. Alright? And so, the show just completely lost sight of that. And so, yeah, I would say it's an entertaining show. It has great moments. The pacing's good except for the boat subplot, but if Captain America's not your favorite character, then yeah, you'll like this show. But if you have any fascination or love for the character of Captain America, you'll absolutely hate this show, because this show completely shits all over the memory, the legacy, the image of Captain America. And real quick, it's not because Sam Wilson became Captain America. He's been Captain America before. I'm perfectly fine with him being Captain America. It's with how they tore down the symbol of Captain America in this show. Alright? I'm perfectly happy with Sam Wilson being Captain America. I have no problem with him being the headliner for the fourth Captain America film. What I do have a problem with is that that's going to have the same writers as this show that has absolutely no idea about the point of Captain America. So, anyway, that's my review of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. My name's Christopher Connor, and this has been a review of 11th Hour Reviews, and unfortunately that is all.